Hey everyone, before we get into the show, guess what we're going to do? We're going to talk about the magic of patreon.com/CraigandFriends. That's the place to go to join Hot Dog Club and unlock an ocean of exclusive content. This week I'm taping a movie club all about the classic 9 to 5 with Karen from Finance and Jake Shears. I just wrapped listener questions with Goss Charlotte. Lots more to come, including a Tootsie Movie Club with Tammy Brown, and of course, the entire archive is available as soon as you sign up. There's bonus episodes, listener questions episodes, movie club episodes, and of course the movie club tier gets you access to all of the episodes, as well as higher tiers, one of which includes a Zoom Hot Dog Club meetup every Monday. All the way up to the executive producer tier, which is the title held by Miss Lindsay Rose, the people's candidate. So head on over to patreon.com/CraigandFriends, see which reward tier works best for you, sign up, and of course do what? That's right, slide on into the Thunderbuns of Hot Dog Club. Now, a note about this episode. This was taped immediately after the Casey Spooner episode from July 2019. Yes, that's right. This is one of the many shows from last year that just never made it out. Oh yeah, and please remember to rate and review on iTunes. It's apparently a very important thing that I oftentimes forget to ask. So this episode doesn't have a proper intro because Mike just started telling a story about applying makeup in a very delicate area for Amanda Lepore.
A Russian ballerina, stomping on a bureaucrat, a perky suburban housewife who just got into scat. It's whimsically volatile.
And I had to do her makeup once, and I remember I had to do makeup like on her vagina, and I had to go in. I went into Pat Fields on 8th Street, and I was like, Amanda, I need to talk to you. And she's like, what, Alex? Like, do you have any pubic hair? And so she like lifted her skirt up in the store, no underwear, like a short skirt. She's like, is this okay? And it was like a little bit. I was like, you got to get rid of it. But I was like, okay. And all the people were like smoking behind the register.
Yeah.
And, it was a good time. People were just like shoplifting. I used to love that store. It was a good place to go.
For the listeners not familiar with the Pat Fields store, describe it a little bit and what would the counter staff were like?
Well, Pat Fields' store was like a 2-floor emporium. Pat Field obviously is a legendary costume designer. Sex and the City. God, I can't. She's done so many movies and TV shows. She does a TV show called Younger right now that my friend Miriam Shore is on. Who played Yitzhak. Yeah. And she does the best Pat Field impression. But Pat's like always like smoking, and she lived above the store. But it was just like a lot of drag queens worked there, and they sold like sexy underwear and like, PVC. And Perfidia had who's a drag queen, had a wig salon there, and there was a woman there named Dana that lives in Florida now who did extensions, and there was a makeup counter that Amanda Lepore used to work at, and Lauren Pine, a famous like kind of downtown dominatrix looking beautiful, became a nurse later, worked there. God, the people that worked there over the years. I mean, JoJo used to do visuals for the window, and
JoJo is
JoJo Americo. He was in the ones with Paul Alexander and Nisham Wood and Mona Foote. Legendary New York like nightlife icon. Still DJs. We used to work at a party together at the Cock years ago.
What was the party called?
I did a party. I used to do a party on Thursdays. Not at the Cock. It was called Hustler, and it was at a bar called Cake, which later became Manitoba's.
Yeah.
Mr. Formica was my boss, and the alternating DJs were Scott Ewalt and JoJo Americo, and I think Scott still might DJ at the Cock, but I used to do coat check at the Cock for years on Thursday nights, and I used to make a ton of money. Like because people would basically check their entire outfits, like a deli bag and put a number on it, but and it was always like drunks and druggies like leaving their crap behind, and like drugs falling out, and go-go dancers like getting not me, but fluffing themselves like in this room that was literally like a broom closet that we converted into a coat check. But
So there's a lot of activity happening in the coat check.
Oh yeah, a lot of activity happening in the coat check. It's where people go to like hide, do drugs, steal from the coats, which I never did, but other people did.
Well, there'd be enough stuff falling out that maybe you'd collect.
Pocket. I mean, I feel like it's if you're gonna give your coat to someone, even if you give them $1, it's like you're taking your chances. I mean, it's New York City, but I always just hand my shit over to the coat check people and trust that they're not gonna steal my stuff.
Right? Have you ever had something stolen from your coat?
No, but I have found so many amazing things in nightclubs that people have left behind, like a Yoji Yamamoto sweater. And one little trick to make money at the end of the night, if you stay out that late, is at the base of the bar,
Yeah.
there's always like money, like cash, like laying around. Like you'll always find like at Don Hills, when I used to work at Don Hills, always find a $20 bill or a $10 bill. It's like at the base of the bar because it was kind of covered and you couldn't see. People just drop their money, and
And it's dark and people are a little smashed.
Yeah,
and they don't
drunk.
know. Yeah, exactly.
And the go-go, I used to go dance there, and your money would fall out and stuff like that.
Now, are you originally from New York?
No, I'm from the East Coast, a small town called Seaford, Delaware.
Uh-huh.
Very 5,000 people. My whole family's like south, like Mississippi, North Carolina. My parents live in North Carolina now. Family's mainly from the south, but we were like the northern branch of my sort of southern family.
Okay.
So we would always go in the summers to Mississippi, and like my grandmother had a twin sister, Dorothy and Dot, and we would go down there in the summertime, and so I kind of spent a lot of time in the South, and I'm definitely like, if I talk to my family, like I turn into like instantly, like my voice changes and I become like country, it's more redneck than like genteel.
Oh, okay,
but,
sure. So you can become country Mike.
It's not Savannah. It's more like redneck, I guess.
Oh, sure. Okay.
It's not like a fancy.
What y'all like doing over there? So a suspicious.
Hey,
kind
how
of,
y'all doing? What's up? Hey, what's going on? Hey, over yonder. People like, when I was a kid, we used to go to Mississippi, and people would be like, "Where are you from?" And I'd say Delaware, and they would be like, "What state is that in?" Like they didn't even know. Like Delaware doesn't really exist. I mean, it's like it's the first state, and it's bigger than Rhode Island, yet it doesn't really seem to exist. And Joe Biden is from Delaware.
So how did you like Delaware growing up?
I mean, I still have a lot of friends there. I go there occasionally. It was like a small town, but luckily I kind of rise wherever I go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Like, I mean, I definitely got like the bullying thing or whatever. I mean, like I feel like everyone does, but I've always been a bit of a freak, but I kind of just hung out with all my friends who were like goths and like, skaters and stuff like, and surfers, and kind of like the kind of counter community. I knew I wanted to get out. Like, and when I went to college, I went to university for 4 years and studied agricultural economics for 4 years, and a fine arts minor. I mean, I painted, and I was an artist as a kid.
When did you start doing that? When did you start doing art?
7 or 8 or 9 years old, and I was painting like oil when I was like 10 or 11.
Yeah,
I mean, portraits. I still paint. I have a studio actually. I paint. They're huge. But my mom just saw that early and wanted me. But yeah, Delaware was just like, I love it there, but I wouldn't want to live there. And we live near Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, which is super gay. You know what I mean? So I got exposed to that more than like a person that lived in the country would. I'd never seen a drag queen or a transsexual in my life, other than this one kind of crazy person in my town who would like wander around the parking lot of the shopping center. It was a man, but he would dress as a woman, and we were always like scared of him, because I don't know if he was homeless or hooking or who knows. I love this big goblet of water.
It adds something to the proceedings, doesn't it?
Vodka. No, I don't actually.
There's a little bit of vodka in the freezer.
No.
Want a beer?
No.
No. Okay. You like to keep drinking to the nighttime hours?
I don't drink a lot anymore. I mean, I do. Like on the weekends, I'll go to brunch, and if ever I go to have dinner by my house, I don't really cook that much. I always have a drink, but like going out, like I don't go out. Like I didn't go out to after party at Julius after John's show. Yeah, I mean the place is so tiny. But
and John's show, just for those, I'm sure those listening know because of the photos and all the stuff I posted. But the Origin of Love shows at Town Hall last week.
Yep. Which is like an extension of this sort of tour that he's been doing all over the world. And he's did it in Australia and Korea and went to Mexico City.
Yeah.
I assume Japan's coming up, West Coast, beginning of next year. It's been fun. I didn't think I was going to do that tour, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Well, I designed the wigs. I've always done them for John.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always like surprised like he doesn't just get some different person to do them. Like even when they did
surprised,
Broadway,
why would you be surprised? Because you have a very signature. I mean, it's a very signature.
I know, but
look.
like it's only like in the last few years that I've realized that you really need to keep that sort of like iconic look for it to be Hedwig, and I find that people are disappointed if it's not like recognizably Hedwig. But I mean, like with the movie, I wasn't supposed to do the movie.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, but then John fought for me, and then when I got to Canada, they were like, "You're just gonna oversee everyone." and and I was like, no, I'm doing John's wigs and makeup by myself, and I didn't get an assistant. Like stupid. I had to do it all by myself, and I'd never done a movie, didn't know what continuity was. I totally, luckily it's supposed to be bad hair and makeup, but she's still pretty. But
well, she's extremely pretty. I got to say how much I admire your work, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I've been doing that same face for so many years, and it's so funny because John doesn't really age that much. He's like not aged in the last 20 years very much, but it's still hard, that makeup. It's like not easy, and it's funny. So when someone was doing it in Australia and Korea, they hired people, locals, and I made a wig that was kind of, you couldn't not make it the shape that it was.
Yeah.
Like I had built in like things inside the wing, so you can't, because so many people get their own version and they'll destroy a wig. So I kind of designed this wig that was able to tour. But he asked me to do the makeup for DC, and then he just kept asking, and he kept asking every gig after that.
Yeah,
and we have fun. I mean, John and I have been doing that for 20 something years. So I mean, but yeah, no, I'm always surprised when they bring me back, even for Broadway. I didn't think that, I knew that if they used my design, they'd pay me, but I didn't think they'd actually hire me to do it.
Well, let's break down the lips alone, because I remember seeing a little thing about how the lip look was achieved. Yeah. And I think the complexity of that is a really good illustration of why the look is so signature to you.
Well, it's so funny because someone the other day on Instagram posted like the recipe for the lips, like that I had said before, and I was like, I don't remember that, and that's definitely not what they are now, because the product that we used to use is not even on the market anymore, and I'm pretty sure it was illegal. It was like it was one of those, like some lady made it at home and put it in bottles and sold it at Trash and Vaudeville and a couple places on St. Mark's Place, and it was called Cookie Puss, and it was like a liquid sparkle, and I'm pretty sure it was like acrylic, like polymers and
lead,
things that you shouldn't be putting on your skin. But those lips have to be maintained or they're supposed to fall off. Like that's the beauty of Hedwig on Broadway, was the makeup just melted off the face. And I wanted it to do that. Like I wanted for the breakdown to her to be, as long as she looks good in the first 5 minutes, I'm good. If if the wig flies off, although like the only 2 times I ever ran out of the Belasco, like horrified, were when was a wig mishap on stage.
Really? What was that?
Neil, I think his wig flew off, but then they were all magnetized. The wigs are all attached with magnets because they had to be quick change. Like Michael Mann, the director, was like, I want a 20-second wig change. And I talked to these wig people. They're like, that's really hard. And then then Michael was like, I want a 7-second wig change. And then I was like, okay. And then he's like, I want a 1-second wig change. And there literally is it's 3-second wig change.
Wow.
And it's all done with magnets.
Yeah.
But
so the magnets are then pinned to the hair?
They're sewn into the wigs, and there's little yarmulke bases that this full wig is attached to. So they click. But I ran out once because Tay Diggs put the wig on and it magnetized, because once they're on sideways, and it was real short on one side and long on the other. It looked crazy. And I remember him looking in the mirror and being like, are we allowed to curse on this?
Oh yeah. Freely,
and
please.
He looked in the mirror because they have the moment where Hedwig looks in the mirror after she comes down and she's Midwest, and he had the Midwest wig on. It was it's like a mullet, so it was short on one side. And he looked in the mirror and he's like, I'm not even gonna fuck with that. And he put the mirror down and continued with the wig on sideways, because what are you gonna do? But
when you say once it's on, how do you take them off?
Well, they have to be peeled off, but the actor can just pop them off, but there's no way of them getting them righted again. It's kind of an issue. They have to be kind of or they'll rip the other wig off.
I see.
It was a whole thing we had to test, and it took 1 million tries. And I actually just answered an email with the guy today from Boston who's doing a local community production. John Cameron Mitchell gave him my email, and he sent me the longest email about how to attach the wigs, and I'm like, girl, good luck. I'm like, duct tape, glue,
just like the improv bits in the show that are, the thing is just make it your own, right? With the local references, do your own thing with the wigs.
Well, it's hard though, and we spent I remember we teched those wigs for a week. It was you don't just get that quick answer. You know what I mean?
Well, sure,
you have to do it. And I mean, I get it. I'm keep it simple. I was just keep it simple. Bobby pins. I think he was trying to think of it too much, but it was just funny because I was the wigs. That's a hard thing. I mean, especially I remember Michael C. Hall said it's like performing underneath a haystack with a haystack on your head. Yeah.
And arriving at the original wig look must have taken a little bit of trial and error.
It's been years. I mean, it took many, many years. I mean, the first wigs were made with big, huge dryer tubes wrapped in hair, and there's pictures of them. They're crazy looking. And then we went back down to like a more natural, like feathered Farrah over the years, which is why I think people think of that Farrah reference, because it's not really Farrah Fawcett. I mean, that wig to me is more like, it's more like George Washington or like Mother Goose, but which is Eric Berger, the costume designer, when I did that gray wig for John's new Origin of Love tour. He's like, it looks really Mother of Goose, and I'm like, I don't want to hear that, but it is. It's like Barbara Stanwyck in Big Valley or something. Sure, but it was a lot of years, and but I think once we did the movie, became the icon. You know what I mean?
Certainly.
It's like any film work is, it's sort of cements it in history, makes it like Hedwig is definitely like a cultural marker. So then that became the wig. And, it's funny because every time someone tells me I'm going to redesign Hedwig, I'm like, you better not do it. People are going to get really mad.
Oh, yeah.
It's like redesigning, like, it's like redesigning like Rocky Horror. Like, don't do that.
No.
Like, sorry, it's supposed to be like bad. And
we're going to have Frank in a pantsuit this version. It's going to be totally different. And then Riff Raff is going to be wearing athletic gear.
Yeah. I actually thought they did that Riff Raff guy was pretty good on the TV version. What was his?
I know. I don't know his name.
Yeah, he's like a cute, like skinny,
I like that Tim Curry played the narrator.
I know. I love Tim Curry.
Me too. I love his records too. Yeah, solo albums are so good. He's just
like always been such a cool, like, over the years, like playing like those weird parts. You have a little Tim Curry thing about you.
Oh, thank you.
You ever heard that before?
I have heard that. Yeah. And I always enjoy hearing
eyes,
it. Yes, thank you. Yeah. He's one of my favorite singers and favorite people in media, really.
Is Tim's doing well?
I think he's doing okay. The stroke was a few years ago, but I think he's doing okay. I think he has limited mobility.
Yeah.
But he's, getting along.
I'm sure he has helpers. My friend in LA used to go to his house and hang out with him a bit, like, a few years ago. And it was before the stroke. But, oh, good old Tim Curry.
Did you ever meet Tim Curry?
I have never met Tim Curry. I would die if I did.
So Rocky Horror, I'm imagining, is a favorite of yours?
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, it's funny. Every time I watch it like every few years. I always kind of forget what happens.
Right.
I have like very bad short-term memory, and but
you have a different memory. I'm sure there's certain things that you have. I always think about that with people's memories.
I have like a good memory for certain things, but like I kind of think I let myself do that with movies and stuff. Like I've watched Sunset Boulevard like 100 times, and like The Goonies like 100 times, and Nashville 100 times,
sure.
and Juliet of the Spirits by Fellini 100 times, and I always forget what happens at the end, and I'm always like, oh, like I'm so excited when I find out what happens, and I'm like, I've seen this movie so many times. I mean, I do know what happens in the end of Sunset Boulevard, but it's the beginning is the end.
It's like the suspension of disbelief thing, though, because it's part of the joy of watching the movie.
Yeah, I'm never going to be one of those people that memorizes every line of a movie.
Or recites it. You ever been around someone who recites dialogue from a movie while you're watching it?
I've watched people sit in the audience of Hedwig and like lip every single word of like the dialogue, not the songs.
Sure.
Songs I get, like songs stick, but yeah.
Yeah, because there is quite a devoted band of heads, right, who have seen the show
extremely
upwards of how many times? Hundreds of times?
I think Janet, no, not Janet, Donna, I think she saw it like 390 times on Jane Street, 350 times. I think they put a plaque on her chair, that said her name.
Yeah.
There was a lady, Mary, or Janet and Mary, and Janet Hull is a hardcore old school head, and she came backstage. I think she might have been there the night you were there. Shaved head, David Bowie, Hedwig tattoos. Very cool lady. She saw it many, many, many times. But a lot of these people, it's like a separate, like the Jane Street people, because there was so many years between. And then we get like on Broadway and we get all these like really young fans, like 16, 17, 18. I mean, the summertime when school was out, there were like high school kids like waiting at the ticket raffle, or like, what is it called when they,
I know what you mean. Yeah. The ticket window or
the
whatever.
Lottery, the lottery.
Oh, yeah.
And there were like kids like out all the time. And I mean, I met, I was flying back from Chicago, And I met this kid, 17-year-old guy. I think he's straight even, was like, are you involved with Hedwig? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, I love Hedwig. I'm 17. My mom listened to it when I was a kid. She saw it on Jane Street. So anyway, he ended up coming to the show the other night with his mom, who gave birth to him to Hedwig. And he's 17, and I love that. I love that young people love it. It means she has a future. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when you just get the old hags showing up still, which is great, but I want young people still relating to it. You know what I mean?
Well, I think they will forever because it's a timeless piece.
Well, it's funny because you watch even Rocky Horror, you're cringing at some of the stuff in today's politics.
Oh yeah,
do you know what I mean? And it's always going to get that kind of that shit. And there's a lot of movies especially 90s sort of romance movies that are just oh God, the movie would never get made today.
Sure,
it's just offensive. But it's weird because there's very little in Hedwig that's not sort of relevant and that is offensive. There's nothing really offensive. The new Blu-ray is amazing.
I can't wait to see it. I haven't gotten the package yet.
It's so good. I should have brought you one. I have a ton.
Oh, that'd be lovely. Yeah,
but I didn't. No, but did you get the Blu-ray?
No, not yet. No.
If you don't, order the Blu-ray because it has an amazing art book in it, with just beautiful photographs.
I didn't want it to turn up while I was out of town. Yeah.
But I was surprised that I don't know if they're going to change that, but the DVD does not have the book. I mean, it's in the extras, on the thing, but in the Blu-ray, you actually open it and there's a book. And I was really surprised that people still even buy DVDs anymore.
Right.
But I mean, I love the packaging still.
Yeah.
I gave up my vinyl years ago, but
really, wow.
Yeah, I got rid of it. I kept 20 records. But
did you digitize stuff or
no? God, everything's online. I mean, I kept a copy of Daydream Nation by Thurston because Thurston Moore gave it to me in his basement.
Okay.
And it was original Blast First, press with the drill hole in it, from the label.
Sonic Youth for those not
Sonic
listening.
Youth, yeah. Who I used to work with a bit. And what else did I keep? It was the history of classical music on vinyl.
Yeah.
It was 12 LPs. And then I think the Muppets soundtrack I kept.
The show soundtrack or
the movie Rainbow Connection. Yeah.
Jake Shears just did Rainbow Connection at Pride.
Who did?
Jake Shears closed his Pride set with Rainbow Connection in Times Square. Yeah.
I saw that outfit. Amazing.
Wasn't that great? Yeah, of course Michael Schmidt made that incredible
Michael Schmidt, who come help me, thank God, he came to the show and we did this rainbow halo. I bought a neon rainbow for John, and the first night it was a flop. It was just wah, wah. So Michael was at the show, and I've known Michael. Michael was the first person to ever hire me in New York. I used to work. Other than I was working in the clubs, and then I was also a gardener for Julie Andrews and Blake Edwards.
And let's get into that too.
But at the same time, I was Julie's gardener. I was the go-go dancer for Michael Schmidt. Yeah, he came to the show and he was enjoying his lovely evening. And I was like, Michael, can you come into the dressing room? I want to show you something. So he came the next day after his Jake Shears fitting, made a whole amazing headband, drilled it and did it properly and made it so, and it was perfect after that. So you need a pro for some things. But then John was like, my headband was designed by the man who invented the Time's Up button, Michael Schmidt. I was like, Michael came. Michael was my Michael was my worker. Michael, I was so thankful. I mean, he just did a lot of the stuff for Madonna's new gun shootout in the gay club video.
Yeah, God Control. Yeah.
Michael's super genius, and he's an old friend. I love him. I don't know if you've ever seen his stuff at the Ace Hotel. He does these curtains. I mean, and we
actually did an episode with him that's yet to come out. Devin Green co-hosting.
Oh, I love her.
She's amazing.
Oh God, stretch it out like prom night. Remember that? Welcome to my home.
Of course.
And then she's doing exercises, and she's stretch it out like prom night. I still use that term all the time.
Those were stricken from the internet due to a cease and desist order by Barbara Dixon, the original woman.
Janice.
No, Barbara Dixon's the woman who did.
No, it's not Barbara.
No, it's not Janice Dickinson.
No, it's not Janice Dickinson, but it's not Barbara.
Are you sure? Okay, we'll look it up.
Yeah. It's something Dixon. Brenda Dixon.
Brenda, you're right. Yeah.
But,
Brenda Dixon.
Yeah. Fuck her, man. Wasn't she in jail or something? She has blonde hair now.
She's shady. She's
a
shady
nightmare.
as hell. Yeah, she should be thankful that she has been given the attention she's been given by Devin.
Those are the most genius thing. I mean, I still I'm friends through friends, and I kind of cyber stalked Devin Green and squeaked into her Facebook friends. But oh my God, she's genius.
Do you ever come to LA?
Yeah, I come to LA. I haven't been there in a while.
Well, when you come to LA, we should go to dinner with Devin because
She does those little ukulele shows.
Oh yeah, I play with her at.
Oh really?
Yeah. At
Oh my
Akbar.
god.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
I don't know anything. Akbar.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, that'll be fun. We'll do that and some other stuff, and then we'll maybe do a tape something together.
Yeah. Good stuff.
I know she's a fan of your work, so
yeah. So Michael Schmidt, I mean, he made the most beautiful. He would make curtains. I mean, clothes.
Yeah.
You name it.
Any fabric, any material. Like the Cher story is great because Cher called him when she saw his chainmail outfit. Right.
Well, I mean, that was his thing. Like chainmail was like. I mean, he gave me a chainmail dress in the '90s because I performed at Squeezebox and I had nothing to wear, and it was like New Queen's night, and like they had dressed me up because I had gone out once or twice. And and Michael, I was like, he gave me a chainmail dress and he told me I could keep it, and I kept it. I don't ever know what happened to it, but I did like my New Queen's night wearing head to toe Michael Schmidt.
That's pretty good. That's pretty
good.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like it was like 95, 94, 94, whatever. I don't know. It was many moons ago.
So let's get into it. I
was 10 years old in the club. like Laverne Cox. She was only 10 back then.
Just 10. I mean, look, things were different back then. It's like the groupies in the 70s. Like you don't judge everyone.
Yeah, no, Laverne and her brother used to do like an opera act together.
Oh, really?
Like,
wow.
Lamar and
this is at Squeezebox.
Yeah. They would do like a rock opera. It was like twins rock opera, and it was Laverne and Lamar. It was funny. I loved it. It was good.
There's that footage of the first performance of Hedwig's material at Squeezebox. So I wonder, did they film a lot? Rather, did they video a lot of the stuff going on at Squeezebox? Was that a regular thing?
I don't know. I mean, John's good for getting himself taped and kept for posterity. I mean, even on Broadway, like they didn't shoot him for posterity because he had broken his leg on stage. And he was in a cast, and it was just like, I mean, they should have done it anyway. I mean, he basically changed the show, which he can. He's Hedwig. It's probably a top secret thing, but I remember one of his last shows. I looked in every corner of the theater. It was like some little man with a little teeny tiny camera,
fabulous,
taping it. You know what I mean? But I think anybody that's I work a lot with Karen O from the AAS, and she did some stuff with Spike Jonze and like his brother. She did an opera called Stop the Virgins, and I mean, Spike and Lance Banks came and shot it in Sydney at the Opera House and in New York City. I mean, and who knows if that footage will ever get seen, but I think it's important. I mean, especially with theater and stuff like that, because theater is such a like experience where I hate it when people take pictures during theater because it's not supposed to be viewed by a camera. It's supposed to be viewed by the eyes, the human eyes. And, because it's stage. And, but I also think like when I look at the old performance, I have a VHS tape. I haven't watched it in a million years because I don't have a VHS player of John's performance of Hedwig on Jane Street. And, totally different.
If you ever need anything transferred, I have a full rig.
I just got rid of
archive is set up.
In my office, I had one of those big TVs, and I had a DVD player and a VHS in it. It's like a duo built in.
Oh yeah.
I used to literally keep Repulsion by Roman Polanski like in my office. I was always playing. It was like Catherine Deneuve, like
it's like a mood. It's like a nice
mad hairdresser, and killing everyone and stuffing them under the couch, and that was what I always kept on a loop on VHS, but then I got rid of it. I was like, I can't do this big ass VHS situation. I still have all my VHS tapes. So I got rid of all my vinyl, but I still have all my VHS.
It's hard to get rid of certain things. I have tubs totes full of VHS lining one closet because I have a ton of stuff that has never been released. Like I'm a huge collector and archivist of some stuff.
But what's so funny? My friend the other day was telling me that same thing. He's like, my boyfriend, I'm just like really pissing me off, and like I told him to get rid of all of his VHSs, and he's like, this one's worth so much money, and like. It was like he went online and it was like worth $100. It was like, he's like, yeah. I mean, that's how I feel. I have one of my bedrooms is like, it's like a storage unit / office.
Yeah.
And it's the only way I'll like, get out of there is to drop a match and run or drop dead. I mean, literally, and everyone's gonna go in there and just throw everything in the garbage. But to me, it's just a sea of great value. But it's all the old Hedwig wigs. I mean, shit, like tons of makeup and just crazy stuff that most people won't care about, but a lot of people might care about.
Actually, no, a lot of people would absolutely care about that.
I need to have somebody come in and help me like archive everything. It's really bad. Like I was saying in the Criterion DVD that people are like, oh, I want to see the Hedwig wig, and like I like pull out a garbage bag. Like they're like, oh my God, it's not in like a glass case. I'm like, no. Like if you go into my house, you don't know that I did Hedwig. You wouldn't even know that I lit. There's no pictures of me on the wall. There's like a little tiny Mick Rock framed photograph, but it's in my bedroom, which is painted black and in a corner. Like, I don't have Hedwig posters all over the place.
It'd be kind of a weird move to do that, right?
I mean, I know a lot of celebrities. I know a few people that have Warhols of themselves. And like, I also know like a lot of people that just have so many pictures and paintings of themselves. Or I love it when an artist fills his house only with his own art. It's like, ooh, gross. Like, I have one of my paintings above my bed, but like my bedroom again is like a little hall painted jet black. It's like a dungeon. So, but it's filled with like bright colored art. But the only painting in my house that's mine is the one that's above my bed. And no one will ever see that because no one ever comes over to my bed.
As you mentioned at the end of the Casey Spooner episode, you're on a sort of single, solo, and alone thing right now.
I don't like do like dating apps and stuff like that. It's like, I know John's like meets all these people on Grindr and he makes all these friends and he promotes his shows. But to be honest, I don't even like strangers on my couch. I just feel like it's flu season, and do you know what I mean? Like,
right, and we want to stay healthy for activities. I don't want to expose
myself to other. Like, I just feel like it's sort of like I did it all in it. Like I've been laid. I'm not a virgin. And it when it comes up, it comes up. But I don't know. Like, I just feel like it becomes like this active obsession, and I'm not like prudish, but I have other things to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the dating apps it's too humiliating. It's like being in gym class and pick last or something. It's like, and the pictures, I'm like, oh, what does it really look like? And you know what I mean? It's funny. But I love it, and I know people that have gotten married from dating.
Right.
I always like new people in my life, and like I'm always with people like, I got a new friend. You know what I mean? I love a new friend.
Yeah. And
it takes a while to figure out if they're like going to be your real friend or like,
well, it's true.
It's
yeah.
just like, what the fuck was I thinking? Maybe they were just cute or funny or rich or I don't know what it was, but something kept me around for a little longer than I should have been. But that's like, how many times have you been in a relationship and been like, oh God, like I got to get out of here. And you just stayed.
Haven't we all been there? Yeah. Yeah.
So many times. And I've been on both sides of that coin. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a good move though. And it's a good, thought to take away is that you should just keep making friends because even though sometimes you make a wrong decision, you limit yourself if you just close off, which a lot of people do.
Oh my God. And like one of the person that was working backstage on John's show it was like a helper backstage, and we started talking about art, and he's coming to my studio Friday and we're going to paint together. I mean, I
That's
just
great.
met him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like 22 years old and very nice and straight, like, nothing like weird. It's just like, I like got to keep that stuff going on. And there's a lot of I have a lot of the old I have the same friends. Some of my friends I've had for like 30 years.
Yeah.
And then a lot of my friends are dead. It's not like I laugh because I'll cry if I don't.
Well, sure. Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't think you were laughing like
I can count on my fingers and toes all my friends that are dead. Mm-hmm. And like some like best friends that died when they were my best friend. Weird, crazy shit. But I'm still here. So
you must have seen a lot of people struggling with substance issues then, because
I've seen it all. I mean, like I've seen car accidents, drug overdoses, suicides, someone murdered. I mean, like, yeah. And it's weird. I'm like, don't be friends with me or you'll die. You're going to die anyway. But yeah, I mean, like too many, like I don't have many emotions left in me, but if I start talking about it.
Oh yeah.
All you have to do is show me a video of the World Trade Centers falling and I'll burst into tears. That's about the only thing that'll make me cry anymore.
So for the next taping,
the cat, like in like the commercial on TV where like the little girl and her dad or something stupid makes me like get a little misty, but yeah, not much gets me emotional anymore.
Do you cry at movies?
Yeah, I will cry in a movie, but only if I'm by myself. Like I won't ever cry in front of other people. But like I actually like those shows like Queer Eye.
Yeah.
Like, it's like it makes me cry every time. It actually makes me really angry
Really?
when they like want to make me cry. I'm like, you're not gonna make me cry. That's why I've never been in therapy. I went to a therapist once and they tried to make me cry and I just laughed. I was like, you're not gonna make me cry. Like, good luck. It's not happening. I mean, I can cry on cue, but I think that's really a dark, sad thing that actors have in common. I'm not an actor, but I could be probably. But
I heard that Demi Moore can offer which eye as a choice.
Oh,
yeah.
I have my friend who's an actress can like make one eye like snap your finger. I mean, it's definitely like a trick, but you know, you have to bring shit up. I mean, you have to think about like, you know, dead auntie or dead cat or something, you know, like something.
Yeah, something,
It's not just like a, you know, you squeeze your hand and you start crying. But yeah, I don't cry a lot, but I do. What was I watching that made me cry? Oh, I don't watch a lot of reality TV, but I've been watching this show called The Casketeers on Netflix.
I haven't heard of this.
It's like a Maori, New Zealand, like tribal, like funeral home.
Oh,
and
wow.
they have like these ceremonial funerals, and a lot of the people, you know, it's like very beautiful, like the traditions, Polynesian culture, and about every other one, it'll be like a little kid or someone like, and I'm just like, man.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I would never cry in public in a theater.
I'm prone to that.
You do?
I actually like it. Not the performative aspect. I just mean like I love when a movie is like.
I love when something makes me cry. I mean, because it's just like it did its like, you know, its job. But like you know, like even when I watch Broadway, like when I watch Hedwig, Nicole Richford, the girl who helped me for years, and she was watching John do Origin of Love, and she was like, I was like, reel those tears in, Missy. Like, I don't like it when people cry around me. I don't like it. Like, I have friends who are like real criers, and I'm like, you're crying for yourself. I know you're not crying because I'm going to give you attention, because like, you reel it in. And my friend is like, I won't cry in front of you, and she'll like run away. But the best was I did my friend's makeup once for her wedding, and like I forgot to use waterproof mascara, and then right before she walked down the aisle, I was like, you can't cry, and she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, I didn't use waterproof mascara, I'm really sorry. And she was like, you're kidding me, right? And I'm like, nope. And she didn't cry.
Wow. She kept you reined it in.
It's like you're only crying for other people.
Well, no, I cry for myself. That's a little mean. I cry for myself when I cry at like a show, like I cried at which song the other night? Maybe Wicked Little Town. I'm not sure.
That's a good one. It makes me a little misty,
right? And usually during the film, it's 2 or 3 different times. I think Midnight Radio.
Oh, Hedwig makes you cry.
Movie? Yeah. Midnight Radio. It's it's also
it does. It's moving to me for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, watching that movie though, it brings back so many memories, and like, I'm very critical of my work. Like, I find that movie very hard to watch.
Well, I mean, of course, because it's your work, and an artist is always looking at what they did once and thinking, oh, maybe I should have done that.
But, you know, like, I look at it, and I think I did a good job. But
I think so, yeah.
I think, yeah. I mean, I think so. But but I definitely, when I hadn't watched it for like 5 years, I think, or something like that. I didn't watch it for like 5 years. And then a friend of mine was like, a new friend.
Okay, yeah.
Who'd never heard of Hedwig was like, oh, I want to watch it. And I was like, okay. And so we watched it, and like, they didn't get it. Like, they were like, huh? And I was like, you don't fucking get it. Like, we're not friends anymore. Like, what is wrong with you?
I may have had that reaction with someone, yeah.
You know, I mean, not everybody. I mean, I have a cousin that saw it recently, and she's like, I can't wait. I'm like, she's going to hate it. Like, I knew she wouldn't get it. She was like, you know, but whatever. You know, if people don't get it, I feel sorry for them, because it has so many things to tell you about yourself. And like, I mean, you know, you gotta embrace it. But yeah, I mean, that was the first time I hadn't seen it in 5 years where I was like, oh, this movie's really good, actually. It held up. And it was that long enough time where I wasn't sure if it would have held up over time, but it had. Yeah,
it definitely has. It's not dated in any way.
And the stage production still gets produced all the time, all over the country, all over the world.
Although I heard someone told me that the rights aren't available in Australia, or at least they weren't for a long time.
Well, that's why we hope it goes to Australia, because I can get residuals. Well, no, it's true. I don't know if that's true. I know that there's like a production in Boston and Austin.
I've done a lot in Boston. I'm from Boston originally.
There's one in Boston right now.
Oh, wow.
It's like a community theater or something like that. Cool. And it's weird in Delaware. My parents live in Delaware part of the time. And in Wilmington, Delaware, like every year they do Hedwig for like a week or something. I don't know if it's the same actor, the same theater, or what, but it must be like popular enough that they feel like they can revive it. Kids today love it. I mean, it's so funny. My friends' 2 daughters I've known since they were little girls, and they're like both in college now, but they love Hedwig. They know every word to every song, and like they've seen it on Broadway, and they've, you know, they're like into the movies, and they like, one became a quote makeup artist because of, you know, she said Hedwig, but who knows?
Why don't you take her word for it?
I mean, I just think like it's like magical, you know what I mean? Like there's something magical about it. It's kind of like little bit Wizard of Oz-y. You know what I mean?
Wizard of Oz, a little bit of Rocky Horror in terms of the inspirational
There's
thing.
some Nashville in there.
Oh, there's a lot, and all that jazz too.
Oh yeah, all that jazz, totally.
We're going to take a moment out from the show right now to talk about something really important to everyone: mental health. And this is a really difficult time for most people, and it really helps to be able to talk to someone. And sometimes you can't talk to a friend or family member about certain things. Also, sometimes you're up in the middle of the night and you maybe want to talk to a professional. Well, there is a solution. Maybe you don't have an online therapist, or maybe you just need to talk to someone right now. And so I want to tell you about BetterHelp.com. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. I do too, honestly, but right now we're talking about BetterHelp and what they want to do and what they can do, because maybe there's something interfering with your happiness, like a pandemic, or the other things that happen when you're stuck in your place all the time, or maybe there's other situations going on. Whatever it is, even if you have just something preventing you from achieving your goals, we all have stuff and things that we need to take care of, and BetterHelp.com will assess your needs and then match you with your own licensed professional therapist. Once you sign up, you can start communicating in under 48 hours. And it's not a crisis line and not necessarily self-help. What it is professional counseling done securely online. And it doesn't matter what you want to talk about. They offer a broad range of expertise, and the service is available worldwide. So wherever you are, once you set up an account, you can log in anytime, then send a message to your counselor. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change counselors if need be. Their service is also more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is available. There's a special offer for Whimsically Volatile listeners, and you can get that by going to betterhelp.com/WV. That's betterhelp.com/WV. And going there that way, it'll get you 10% off your first month. Remember, that's betterhelp.com/WV.
I became Julie Andrews and Blake Edwards' gardener, and I was their gardener for like a couple years. And
so you have a bit of a green thumb. This is something.
Well, I went to University of Delaware for agricultural, business and economics. Right. And in the summers, I grew up on like in the country, and I mowed lawns and always helped my grandmother garden. Yeah. And then I worked in a greenhouse for years. So I worked for this lady, and she was like a landscape architect. Her name was Eileen Wingate. She still has, I'm sure she still does. I think she's a city planner now, or like an urban planner. She hired me to like maintain like rooftop gardens for it was like Ivan Boesky's wife, Seema Boesky, and we would do like Henry Kissinger's office, and the lady who owned Jordache, Rosie Nakash, and like the lady who owned Tourneau, who would like garden with me and like leave like a diamond Rolexes in the dirt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And one of her clients was Julie Andrews. I just started doing her gardens. Like, we would do full installation. I mean, this is a lady who really literally wanted like instant gratification, dripping rose gardens, and she got it. And she had like roses named after her. You know what I mean? Like, she's like, these are the Julie Andrews. And she'd follow you around with the pruning shears and leave notes in the plants and be like, these look a little dry, Michael. What are we going to do? And I was standing next to her when the OJ verdict was read.
Really?
Yep. I was standing in her living room, and we were all standing there in front of the TV. It was like me, her assistant, her, and like her maid. And I remember we were all just like waiting, and like when they announced it, Julie was like, huh, and then walked away. And we were like, oh, what's gonna happen? But she was so cool. I mean, she was so nice. I mean, she lived up the 6-story, brownstone on the Upper East Side, no elevator. Such a fabulous, like, tall handshake of a woman, cursed. Yeah. Julie Edwards, not Andrews. I mean, that was always like Lena Horne or Carol Burnett or someone was over there. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
But I was also working for her when she like had her vocal surgery and lost her voice. So it was like a weird time, like it was definitely that, I mean, because she's never sang since.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, she, does, but never like she used to, because someone gave her they fucked her up, her doctor. Yeah. I mean, she sued that doctor. But anyway, it was a good time. She used to give me, I decorated her Christmas tree, and she'd give me really fancy Christmas presents. And Blake Edwards was always around, and it was good. It was fun. It was definitely like the weird first job I had in New York.
That's like a very classic, like New York bizarro story in a way, because you're immediately in this realm. Well, I just
remember like Julie was so private, and like no one knew where she lived, and she like always, there was always a car and driver outside. But I remember one time she walked out of her house, and someone recognized her and was like, started freaking out. And she brought them into her house and was like, let me sign these pictures with you. She's like, please don't tell anyone where I live. And let's take a picture and I'll sign up, whatever. Had some 8x10s, I'm sure, somewhere and gave them. But yeah, she was like, come in, brought them in. I mean, obviously she's like always surrounded by like a group of people. But I saw her with her assistant, Francini, who's like this real tough lady, at like Bergdorf's once, like years later. And I walked over and I saw Julia and I saw Francini. And I was like, immediately Francini's like a bulldog, like, stay away. It's Julie Andrews. And I was Francini. He was like, Michael. And they were like, Michael. And I was like, oh God, hi guys. But yeah, that was my first couple of years in New York. And that was when I met John Cameron Mitchell when I was working at, I also worked at Kim's Video.
I've heard of Kim's Video.
They're making a documentary about Kim's Video.
Really?
Yeah. They're making a really like kind of major documentary about it because the archive was bought by some major collector and it's in like a castle in Italy and they're building an entire almost like film town around it, like a Sundance like festival type town.
And describe Kim's Video for those who don't know what it is.
Kim's Video was a chain of video stores pre-Blockbuster. Not Blockbuster was around, but like Tower Records was around. But and we rented DVDs and VHSs and laser discs. We had the largest selection of laser disc porn.
Yes.
But all the people that worked there were like real snobby, like Harvard film student, like assholes. I mean, Karen O worked at Kim's Video back in the day. I think she's going to be a part of the documentary, but it was her only job ever other than being in a band. She told me. I was like, lucky you. But she's a rock star. She should only be in a band. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was like a lot of celebrities came in, like Tim Robbins always came in and never returned his videos. And John Cameron Mitchell was one of my customers. And that's where I met John there, but really we met at Squeezebox before, but then we recognized each other and we said hi. But yeah, and then Kim's got shut down because of all the big chains opening. Right. Mr. Kim was a Korean man. He was in the Korean War and he came to New York and started this kind of empire, and he was cool. I mean, it was definitely like very like sexist, like weird, like, situation. A lot of weird stuff going on. Like I remember his secretary always brought in a hot plate and cooked lunch for him every day. And then one day I was like, there's call takeout. Tell him to get his own damn lunch. And then she stopped bringing the hot plate in. She didn't make it anymore. She was like, you're right. I'm like, I know.
There's plenty of restaurants in the
we were
area.
in the West Village on Bleecker and West 10th Street, a block from Christopher Street. Yeah.
Where were you living at the time?
I lived in the East Village. I originally moved to Williamsburg, and then I lived in the East Village. In Times Square, I lived in Times Square. I lived at the back door of the Virgin Megastore, which was very crazy at New Year's Eve because you had to leave your house like for 2 days.
Oh yeah.
But it was like this weird little building that was in the middle of Times Square that had like two apartments above like an Italian restaurant. It was literally in 24-hour McDonald's on the end of each block. Type. But now I've lived in the same place in Williamsburg for 20 years. Yeah, rent stabilization.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I have a rent control place in West Hollywood.
3 bedrooms, rent stabilized.
Beautiful.
Gonna die there.
Well, it's all painted black, right? So that's appropriate for the
well, a lot of it's painted black. I kind of started to like revert back from that. Like just my bedroom is black mainly, but there's like a black wall and there's 2 black walls in 2 of the rooms.
Is it high gloss or matte?
Matte. Yeah. I used to have a matte nail polish company, and I used to match the colors to my nail polish so I could use the nail polish to touch up the walls. I'm not kidding.
No, I'm laughing because it's a smart move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's so funny because my neighbor is this mechanic, and he's like works for BMW. I've known him since he's a little kid. He painted one of his BMWs, one of the colors of my nail polish. His girlfriend loved the nail polish, and he was like, I can use it to touch up he touched up his car with it.
So it had a lot of purposes. What was the name of the company?
It was called Knockout, but we ended it a couple years ago. We sold nail polish. The only time we ever did glitter was for Hedwig, but it was all matte.
Okay.
No shine. Which was like now, like everyone does now, but we were the first matte black. Because I invented it because when we were kids, we were like goth. We would use Sharpies on our nails and like whiteout. So I did a matte black and a matte white. And I remember like we had a good publicist and we had the matte white. And the Today Show had this thing where it was like, get the fancy version or here's the cheap version. And it was always like this red lip liner by Chanel or this one by Wet n Wild. And I remember mine was like my nail polish, and a bottle of whiteout. And I was like, I don't have any competition. You know?
You
it was
cornered the market.
literally a bottle of whiteout on the Today Show. And I was like, wow. Yeah.
So you're in New York then, and then when did you, and you're working at Kim's Video, and are you doing makeup at this point?
Yeah, like drag, more like wigs and stuff. But I mean, I was doing John like for little gigs and stuff like that. I mean, we had like my makeup was in like a little tackle box, and I was definitely doing like my grandmother's wigs and makeup when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Like full on like makeup for church. She used to wear wigs and she was into makeup and stuff like that. So I was always doing that when I was a kid.
When did you first start doing it? When playing with makeup as a kid?
Oh my God. Like, I must have been like probably like 6 or 7 years old or something like that. I mean, I would like destroy my grandmother's wigs. She would like hide them from me. She would buy a new one out of the back of the TV guide where you send the lock of your hair and they match it and they send you the wig back. Yeah. And like Eva Gabor wigs. Like we were talking about Merv Griffin earlier.
Merv Griffin's alleged girlfriend.
Yeah, he's like his friend.
Yeah, special friend.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I just always... And I used to go to the beauty parlor with her on Saturdays or whenever she used to go get her hair done. And Miss Anna Gosley's Beauty Emporium. And it was like this, like basically like a little barn in this lady's backyard in like the country. And it was all these ladies getting their hair done, perms and wigs. And it was fun. That was sort of where I like started, you know, doing that kind of stuff. And they were all like, they loved that I did it. They were like, here's another wig, do this one. And they would show me how to do it. You know? I don't think they'd ever met anyone like me. When I was a kid, you know, I think I'm pretty, that's the one thing that people always say that when they've known me, they're like, you've always been like the same, you know what I mean?
Sure,
like,
very much
you know,
yourself.
Obviously in a different way, but you know, I mean, people do change, but yeah. I've become more into luxury items now.
Well, we were discussing at the end of the Casey Spooner episode,
Casey and his custom Nike couture.
Oh
my God.
Pretty good.
Running for president.
Yeah, he's got our vote.
Might as well. Although, I don't know if Hedwig's really running for president, which the sticker on my phone says.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I don't think she's going to run. She's not an American citizen.
Well, listen, maybe Hedwig could be in the cabinet, or perhaps they could join forces on a joint ticket. So then you're doing makeup for John for some certain gigs. Like what kind of gigs? Like TV gigs?
Like,
or
no. Like Hedwig. Like we were always...
I meant before. I was wondering if you were doing makeup before.
No, God, no. I was working in the gallery. I was working in an art gallery. I was working at Kim's Video. I was Julie Andrews Gardner. I had a million jobs. I was go-go dancing.
Yeah. And now when you started go-go dancing, you met Michael Schmidt at Squeezebox?
Well, no, I met him... I'm sure I met him at Squeezebox, but he hired me to work at a club. I can't remember the name of the club, but it was at a place called Coney Island High.
Oh, okay. And just to clarify, because I don't know if this will come out before or after the Michael Schmidt episode, and I want to make sure listeners understand that Squeezebox was, of course, Michael Schmidt's club.
Yep.
That was a very influential place, and that's where Hedwig started.
It's where drag queens would go to like sing live with a band.
Yeah.
Instead of lip syncing. It's funny because my exposure to drag was... I mean, I always knew the drag queen lip syncing thing, but my first real like constant exposure was like drag queens singing live at Squeezebox. You know, they had a band there, and it was definitely like, to me, it's all I knew. You know, I didn't know it was like a new thing at the time because like I had just come to New York and I lived in London before that, and we used to go to like clubbing, but it wasn't like drag venue type. It was more like hardcore like nightclubs. Yeah, so when I came to New York, everyone was singing live, and it was like Jackie Beat, you know, and like amazing like Sherry Vine and Formica and Miss Guy and Michael Cavadillas, Lily of the Valley. Jane County was there. I mean, and they all sang with. There was a house band, and it was definitely that time when we were like, you know, it was like it was also that Giuliani time when all the clubs were being shut down. And you weren't allowed to dance you had to have a cabaret license to dance. Like you could not dance to a song in a restaurant, like at a table. Like you couldn't stand up and move, or you could get arrested. No tattoo parlors. It was a really weird,
bizarre,
creepy time. But Don somehow survived that. That weird. I think because we were like way at the edge by the Holland Tunnel, and like there's too much going on in like the Village and like East Village, and they didn't like really bother us down there. I don't know how it ended up not getting shut down or like being harassed by the cops, but they never had problems there, as I recall.
And again, for those not familiar, Squeezebox was a party held at Don Hill's.
Don Hill's,
which was a legendary, influential place, right?
Yeah, Don Hill. I can't remember. He was like the manager. I wanted to say Mud Club, but I don't think that's it. Of another club that was really major.
Yeah.
And he had this little tiny nightclub. And Don was such a cool man. He passed away a few years ago. But, always playing his pinball machine like an, older straight man with silver hair. And always hung out, always loved, the gays and the drag queens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I luckily got to see him right before he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was where Squeezebox was held. It was on Friday nights. So yeah, I think they just had a 25th anniversary, but they didn't do anything for it, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow. And how many years did Squeezebox run for?
I mean, they did like a 10-year anniversary, but I don't know if they weren't doing it every Friday at that point or not. But I know that I think it was the 10-year anniversary where they filmed everything for real.
Oh, okay.
And they made an amazing documentary about Hedwig, but it never came out.
Oh, because I was like, weird, I haven't seen it. But no, not so weird. Yeah.
It didn't come out because they couldn't secure the rights to all the songs that the drag queens sang.
Oh, that's
like
a shame.
Really, like they should have chosen like real cheap songs. But everybody's singing like Queen and Bowie and like, and like things that probably cost a lot of money, which is why we should also give a shout out to Dolly Parton, because when we did Hedwig, she was very kind and let John and Stephen Trask use I Will Always Love You for like virtually nothing. I mean,
and in perpetuity or something, right?
Yeah. And we were always so upset that she never came to see Hedwig, but she knows what Hedwig is.
Well, because she almost did Wig in a Box, right? For the tribute album or one of the songs. She almost did one of the songs.
I don't know any of the stories other than that she was very like thought it was cute and funny and like was like, yeah, let him have it. I mean, she's worth so much money. I mean, that's nice when an artist with a lot of money and power can do that. I mean, like Rosie O'Donnell did that for the movie. She let John use the footage from the show. I mean, because stuff like that costs. It's like it can be a hindrance.
Oh, certainly. That could cost a lot.
The Squeezebox documentary just wasn't able to come out because of they couldn't afford, I think, to pay for the music. And the documentary is great. I'm in it and I have black hair, which is strange. And they made me style a wig on camera, and it was really funny.
If there's any way for me to see it through other channels, I'd be happy to.
I could probably find a way to someone that has a copy of it. Yeah, in fact, I know I can. I haven't seen it in a long time. It's really, really good. Like John Waters is in it, and Debbie Harry. It's like a good it was good, but it was just a shame that it never came out. But that's how influential it was. But yeah, so they had the anniversary. But
I just saw John Waters a couple months ago in Detroit for his birthday party, and Jake played the birthday party. And there was a Q&A, and he spent at least 2 minutes talking about the impact of Squeezebox.
I did a photo shoot with John Waters in Rikers Island prison once. Yeah, fashion shoot for Harper's Bazaar that they killed the story because they were like, these pictures are making fun of fashion, because he had all these models. It was like Alec Weck, Aaron O'Connor, Carolyn Ribeiro, and Lisa Winkler dressed like clowns, wearing comme des garçons, holding a big butch lesbian like security guard like hostage with like a baton, like, and they were hilarious. And we did like the plastic surgeon's office. Lisa Winkler had like all the Prada bags, and she's in we shot in Cartier and getting her credit cards cut up, and then one of Karen O'Connor in a rainstorm drenched in Galliano and like makeup running, and then all these people wearing Burberry like pointing and laughing. And when Glenda Bailey, I guess, saw them, she was like, "Who's John Waters?" Because she had just taken over, and she killed the story.
Oh my god!
Most money they ever spent. But one of the shots we did was in Rikers Island prison, and I was like, "John, how did you get like us in here?" So you have to like give your ID and you go over, and it's like you're in prison. And they were painting that wing, and he was like, I know people in the prison system. He's like, I'm friends with some of the Manson girls, and
right.
I mean, I think he did outreach and stuff with people in the prisons and stuff. Yeah. But
he's done like a lot of that over the years.
He's like the mayor. Whenever I see him, he's like, hello, like shaking everyone's hands. And if he knows me a little bit, he'd be like, oh, hi, like, and then moving on.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I always see him. I used to see him in Chelsea, and he'd be like, "There's a big sale at Comme des Garçons."
He loves Comme des Garçons, right?
Yeah, he's amazing. I mean, come on, he's like an inspiration for us all.
Absolutely, yeah, all the time. I want to get him on the show sometime.
He doesn't have social media, does he?
No.
I feel like that's good, because I feel like people would expect too much.
Mm-hmm.
Like it would have to be like so curated and trashy and like perfectly John Waters. I mean,
well, it'd be funny if it was really bland and just sort of like pictures of cats.
He's a very special person.
Yeah, a consistently original thinker.
And such a nice person. He's so sweet and like funny, and he's always the same whenever I see him.
So then you were doing the makeup for Hedwig at Squeezebox, and then as that progressed eventually into Jane Street, etc. And then you were also doing makeup for other people at this point, or no?
I was doing, well, you know, when we did Jane Street, I had like worked at that point with like Richard Avedon and Max Viducal and Stephen Klein had all shot Hedwig, like really Avedon.
Yeah.
And so at that point, like people were interested in like, you know, using me, like getting an agent and stuff like that. You know, and I met this agent, and her name's Christy Engels. She no longer is an agent, but I mean, she brought me in, and she's like, "We can't tell anyone you did Hedwig. Like, you can't tell anybody." She's like, "We got to like not have that in your book. Like, we're gonna put it maybe in your bio, but you're gonna go do all pictures with no makeup, like clean." And so I did, and I just went out and like started doing fashion and stuff like that, and then I got like, you know what kind of brought me into the next level was I got this new singer that they were doing, and she just came out, and she's 15, and they wanted me to do her look, and it was Avril Lavigne. So we shot her album cover like the day, 2 days after September 11th on Canal Street. Like that Let Go album cover was like, which is a blurred street. And that was sort of like when I sort of really got into like doing like more like real like mainstream stuff. And I mean, you know, I do everything. I do movies, commercials. I do like some music. I don't really do a lot anymore. I still do the yeah-yeah-yeahs and Karen O and stuff like that. But there's not much money left in the music industry.
Right. Sure.
I just did a movie last fall with Katie Holmes and the guy who directed Sweet Home Alabama. So I have kind of like a weird varied career. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But it kind of like progressed. But yeah, Hedwig wasn't helpful. And it has actually
That's the pull quote, by the way. Hedwig wasn't helpful.
Well, it's so funny because I think like even on Broadway, because I got so much press for Broadway, like extreme amount of press. And I think it kind of sort of ruined my career for like a year after that because nobody called. Because I think when people see you like that, they think, oh, he must be rich and he's famous or something like that. And like, he's not working, he's doing that. And I mean, I really, you know, I'm a working makeup artist. That's what I do. I mean, people think I'm this wig guru. I don't even do hair. I won't even do a man's hair. Ask my agent Mary at Ray Brown and Shannon. They always try to get me to do men's grooming, and I'm like, I'm not touching their hair. Like, I won't do the hair. Like, I'll do the makeup. Like, I'll beat a face, but I won't touch hair. I refuse. Like, I'll still make a wig for John, and that's
a special thing.
And
that's
I made last few Kiki wigs I make for Justin Bond, and but one every 10 years. No, I still have Kiki's original wig. It's like bald with like 4 strands of like that swoop in the front. I just made her new one. Like I made one for Broadway, and then I made another one for her. I saw
the one on Instagram. That was on.
No, not that one. That's Perfidia, who was the wig supervisor on Hedwig. That big white one. No, I made just Kiki. Not like.
I see.
That's like a different character.
Okay.
Kiki. And I made the one that was recently. Kiki did Joe's Pub, but I love Justin. So great.
Yeah, I want to have Justin on the show.
Oh, you should. She had a big scandal recently because I was on Fifth Avenue and I saw this lady with a shopping bag, and I was like, Justin Bond's face was on it. So I texted Justin, and she's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, your face is on a huge face is on a shopping bag. I guess Stonewall 50th used her image without her permission.
Oh, that's right.
And it was like on posters, on subways, and she was so unhappy about it.
And advertisements for the World Pride closing ceremony and all that.
But I was the one that brought it to her attention. She was like, at first she was like, oh, that's cute. And then I was like, I don't think it's cute now because she doesn't seem very happy about it.
Yeah, right.
I would be mad too.
Of course.
Because it wasn't like a little, tiny
part of a collage or something.
It was a collage, but her face was huge.
Very prominent. Yeah. When you were talking earlier about the filming of the movie, a lot of people might not know that the film set was kind of like a pain in the ass, right? Like it was a lot of struggle with some of the elements or the forces on set.
Well, I mean,
because it was a low budget film.
It was a low budget film. We actually didn't even finish the movie. Like when we ran out of money and time, and New Line saw the footage and let us go back to Canada and reshoot and shoot a couple additional scenes, and we shot some stuff in New York with Michael Pitt. But it was really hard. I mean, like by the end, I feel like there was like 70-hour nonstop days to get shit.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know, for me personally, like I had never done a movie before. So, and it was really hard because I was sort of John's gatekeeper. I was doing his makeup. He's directing a movie with a monitor in his face. And like, there's like all these 80s. And I had to literally be like, I'm still that guy. I'm still the bitch who's like, get the fuck out of here, everybody out. And John's like, don't be so mean. And he's like, thank you. Like he, you know what I mean? Like he like wants everybody. He's like,
he needs to be pulled away while he's going, no, I want to see it.
Don't be so mean to the people. And then he's like, thank God you're such a mean bitch to the people. But and you know, so it was really, really hard because it's hard. And, you know, John was directing in drag.
Yeah. And singing live.
And full makeup and wig. And, and singing live. And, all the close-ups, if we even got close-ups, were shot at the very end of the day when the makeup was like busted and beat.
Yeah.
And testament to Frank DeMarco, pre-retouching, thank you. And they did retouch the Criterion and made them. I was like, you need to fix like 3 things. Yeah, I mean, I got to
director of photography.
Yeah, DP, Frankie DeMarco. I got to look. I just thought makeup artists always got to sit on the camera and look at the close-ups through the lens, but they don't. And like I did, you know what I mean? And like I had that like that luxury of being able to know what she was going to look like. And I also learned about the magic of filmmaking and lighting and filters and how a cracked ass face can look beautiful on 35 if it's properly lit and gelled. And so I got that. And that's why to this day, if I'm on set with a photographer, I'm like, you need to change that light. And like, what's going on? You know, like if they can't get it, I can tell them how they need to get it. Yeah. You know, because I know I've seen it a million times, but then we had to shoot all these close-ups that we never got, like, in, like, 2 days. And it was, like, I had to match everything. Luckily, I think most of the close-ups, the makeup's better.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Sure,
like,
sure.
It's, like, definitely changes. My continuity it's there, but it's not perfect. You know what I mean? Like, there's definitely a scene in one scene, I can't remember which one it is, where her nail polish changes color or something. I think they, like, actually maybe cut the hand out of that because they were like, what the fuck? You didn't change the nails. I always, you know, it's hard. It's like a lot to keep up with.
Well, it is hard, yeah, especially with the rush, not a rush schedule, but there's so much complexity to the looks.
In like 28 days, I think.
It's wild, yeah.
Yeah, 28 days, shoot days. That's crazy. I mean, that's for the complexity of that movie and
absolutely
the level of like production design. God rest her soul, Therese Dupre, the production designer. Who I don't think her or Miguel Villalobos slept for like 28 days. You know what I mean? Like literally, I mean, making magic out of nothing. But I mean, that's what I do. You know, I'm like a magician with my hands. Like I make stuff out of nothing. But that's why I'm a painter. I paint as well. I like that to be able to do that, to make, you know, your dreams come true in your mind on a stage or a canvas or a face. And you just have to have the right group of people. It's like being at war, or like not being at war. I don't want to say that because people will come for me for comparing war, but it's like being in like boot camp or something. Like you have to be a certain kind of person with a certain constitution, or you won't make it. Like you won't like be able to do it. Like you can't physically do it. Like it's really hard. I just did a movie in New Orleans with Katie's, who's a friend of mine, Katie Holmes, and it was like so cushy and sweet and fun, but I almost got electrocuted, like literally, like I did get electrocuted.
What happened?
We were shooting at this horse farm, and Katie's trailer and Celia Weston, do you know who that is?
No.
Older actress. She was like, she's amazing. She's in Talented Mr. Ripley. Oh, she was on Alice. She replaced
okay.
Anyway, older lady, beautiful, iconic actress.
Yeah.
All of our trailers were right up against this horse like fence. Yeah. And everyone had to squeeze around it. And I grabbed it and it was live. And it was like a cattle fence. So it was like, and I flew back. I felt my heart pop.
Yeah.
And I was like, I literally flipped out and called them. I was like, you need to turn that off because you're going to electrocute Celia or Katie. And I was a little bit shocked, but I mean, like, it was like, oh God, we're so sorry. And they took care of it. But I mean, yeah, who goes to work and almost gets electrocuted?
Right.
God.
Yeah, there's a lot of changing variables.
It's like crazy stuff and like just a lot of changing and moving and now, and then are sitting around and wait all day. But John was great. I mean, he's such a great director and he's such a trooper. And he never really loses it. I mean, there were a few tears, but
well, what are you going to do?
Bit, John and I have a very whimsically volatile relationship. We do.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been doing it for so many years. People that come in are a little like, ooh, do they hate each other? Do they love each other? We can't really tell. But yeah.
But those are special relationships, though.
Yeah. I mean, there's just, I just know over the years, and John will deny it, but I've been accused of a lot of things, like accusations of I'm hurting him, or I took his eyebrows off and they never grew back, and just, I mean, if he tells that story one more time to the press that I ripped off his eyebrows and he never grew back. I mean, the same thing happened to Lana Turner, and she had a great career, except for when her stepdaughter killed her husband.
Yeah, outside of that, though.
Yeah.
That little bump in the road.
I mean, they did. They took her eyebrows off and never came back. And John's, his eyebrows never really came back the same. I shaved them off. I didn't wax them off.
Yeah, you didn't rip them out. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, do you know how hideous Hedwig would have been if she had her eyebrows glued down, or his eyebrows? No, she needed that blank canvas. So yeah, there's that. But I love John and Steven as well. They're so talented, and they made something very special for the world,
which you contributed greatly to. I mean, the look is
funny.
iconic.
I kind of didn't realize how much until the last, during Broadway, I think is when I sort of got it, how important it was. But then someone goes, it's the head and the wig. I'm like, you're right. It is.
Fair point.
Everything. Yeah, but then you have that vessel of John and all that music. It's so,
Oh, I know. And the songs and lyrics are just unbelievable.
Insane. It's so funny. And Stephen Trash just had a show,
you just said Stephen Trash, by the way.
Trash? Stephen Trash. Yeah, well, you get to know him. I love Stephen Trask. Amazing. He's one of my favorite people. But he did this show called This Ain't No Disco last year. And it was one of the songs in it was this song that it's this Andy Warhol character called The Artist Sings. And it's Will Connolly, I think is his name, sings it. And Stephen sang it during the
encores, right?
Unbelievable. I mean, literally the hair races off my arms. And it's funny because, he's so known for Hedwig, and he scores a lot and stuff like that for, movies and things. But, those songs, just knowing that there's more in there is it's thankful. I'm so thankful of that, but I think we got some really good stuff out of those two.
Oh,
we should be very grateful, and that's why I think we have all those people outside and so many fans that come and love it and scream and return over and over and over. I mean, they see something, or Hedwig's very obtuse, but she's very relatable. I think you can see something of yourself in her. Mm-hmm. In everybody,
Absolutely. It's a Rorschach test.
Yeah, straight, gay, any race, God, Hedwig's biggest fans are in Asia.
Right. There was two ladies who flew from Japan for that show.
Yeah. They gave me so many presents. Those ladies are nice.
That's
but you know what's so funny? All of their Instagram pictures they posted, they took a billion pictures. I mean, the cameras were flying. Whenever they were there, it was click, click, hug. And in every single picture that they're in, they have an emoji heart over their face.
Are you serious?
Yep. All the pictures. I was like, why do they do that? Me and John and or Eric and I, and this heart emoji. And I'm like,
wow.
I don't know. They said it's a very Japanese thing. Epic amount of photographs they took and posted. I mean, insane. So many. And their faces are covered in all of them.
That's so funny.
Yeah, they said it's a Japanese thing, but it's like a little heart emoji or a cute little, something cute. You know what I mean?
Yeah, something cute. Yeah,
it's
someone would censor maybe a body part or something. Yeah.
Hey, it's John Cameron Mitchell on a beautiful spring day in New York. And I really love your show, Craig. But I really do need to know, for my own peace of mind, and perhaps yours, if you're gay. Are you gay? I always like to know when someone's gay. Forget I asked this if it's uncomfortable for you. But it's an uncomfortable world, so you should be ready to be uncomfortable.
We're talking a little bit about what it's like on a film set. So how important it is to be a team player in all of the projects that you work in, Diva Attitudes. How do those fit in?
Well, I mean, I've worked with some pretty difficult people in film and, over the years. I've seen them be difficult with other people. Let's just put it that way.
Sure.
But no one really like fucks around with me because I can just make you look like shit.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people are real nice to me, and I mean, especially like because you have to get that right person that's going to be in your face all day, like in the morning and at night, like, and not like hate them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I've seen so many people fired around me, like almost like I'm the only one left. I've worked on some very crazy fraught film sets.
Yeah.
But you know, all good, all great, like learning so much, and yeah, I just one of my favorite movies, and not like it's very scandal ridden. Was The Heart is Deceitful Above All Things, which is do you know JT Leroy, the famous writer? Yeah. Laura Albert is the writer, is a very good friend of mine. They just did a movie with Laura Dern and Kristen Stewart.
A yet to release episode is with Justin Kelly, the director, and Savannah.
Okay, well, Savannah, I used to do her wigs way back in the day.
For the JT Leroy. Oh, wow, that's amazing.
I made all the wigs for JT Leroy. But I still have some of those wigs, actually. But I didn't know. I was completely clueless. I mean, like, literally didn't know until, like, the very, very end.
So wait, what were you told was the...
I just told Savannah wrote the books, and Laura Albert, Laura is still a very, very good friend of mine, actually. The woman who actually wrote the book.
Sure.
And I mean, everyone's fine. I mean, I'm not like mad or anything, but and a lot of people were really angry that weren't even involved. And I felt like I had more of a right to be angry than anyone. But in the end, I didn't let that take over. And I have a really good friend, my friend Laura. But
who would go under the name Speedy as the manager, right?
Speedy, English, British. And Speedy has had such a transformation physically too, like Laura's like body, everything. I mean, she just looks like it's like she's a shapeshifter or something.
Sure.
She's a special person. But that movie was directed by and starred Asia Argento.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah.
And
so you worked on that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did Asia's makeup and wigs for that whole movie. And to be honest, like she has like as many hair and makeup changes as Hedwig.
Okay,
in that she changes so many. She plays like a druggie, a waitress, a hooker, a Bible lady. Her husband was Marilyn Manson in it, and Peter Fonda's in that movie, and Winona Ryder. Insane. Yeah. And that movie was a really crazy film set. And I look back and I'm like, how did I like survive?
Sure.
Ben Foster, Michael Pitt, like, and everyone like was in Knoxville, Tennessee. No one like left. Everyone just stayed and was like partying. It was fun. It was crazy. But yeah, the JT Leroy. That's one of my many clients.
That's a pretty interesting one,
yeah,
for sure. But you weren't mad when you found out what the game was.
Like, my feelings were hurt, and it's funny because like it was funny because my friends were like, "Well, it's like your friend like died or something." I'm like, "No, it's like my friend didn't exist actually." But I mean, in the end, I got what it was. I mean, it was like, I get like I know Laura's side of the story, and she's not apologetic about it because. She was in a group home, like literally up the street from here when she was a teenager, and like dealing with identity and like abuse and things that ring true in that movie and that story. And even if like she made it up completely as a work of fiction and had no connection to it, which is not true, she does have a connection to it,
right? Because
of her past. And that's what everyone said. Oh, you just created this character and you exploited the HIV world and stuff like that. It's bullshit. But anyway, I feel like I don't know what the point was.
Oh, it's just I think your feelings on the.
Oh yeah, I mean I was shocked, and
sure.
I think to this day so many people are like, I knew. I don't know how you didn't know. I'm like, okay, well that's believe whatever
believe
you
for
want.
you, yeah.
I mean, great. I mean, I happen to have been right in there with them, and and I didn't know, but yeah. You know who played Asia's mother in that movie?
Who?
Ornella Muti. And she was the princess in Flash Gordon.
Wow.
Yeah. And she came to Knoxville, Tennessee, like, what the fuck is going on? She's like very famous in Italy.
Yeah.
And she didn't, beautiful face too. And she didn't talk to anybody, but she asked me one day if I'd have lunch with her. And so I sat down. And then I just ate with her every day. But, Ozzy is very outspoken.
Right.
Do you know a lot about her? Her father's Dario Argento.
Yeah.
Her mother wrote Suspiria.
Yeah, and then was almost not credited.
Daria Argento. I met her mom.
Oh yeah, Daria and Nicolidi, right? Her non-married name. You met her?
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Was she on the set?
No, I met her in. Where did I meet her? I can't remember. And Peter Fonda. Wow.
That must have been a trip too. What was he like?
Full set of Louis Vuitton, reeked of weed.
perfect. Exactly what you'd expect.
Smelled like pot and had all this great luggage and real nice. I remember he wouldn't slap one of the children in the movie. Ozzy wanted him to slap a kid across the face. And Peter was like, I won't do that. I refuse. And she's like, you need to make up the devil's hand to look like Peter's hands. And so I was like in this painting like these age spots on someone's hand. And Peter comes in and he goes, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm matching your hands. He's like, my hands don't look like that. But it was fun. It was good. It was just crazy in like retrospect because it's such a wild story. I mean, wild enough that they made that movie.
Yeah. Did you see the movie?
No. I mean, but there's a documentary that Laura did a couple years ago called Author, the JT Leroy. It's interesting, like the many versions of that story.
Well, yeah, it is. Yeah, because the story itself is so bizarre and it touched so many people. You have to get back at 5?
I'm fine. I mean,
okay, cool. I wanted to ask what you would say to anyone who's moving to the city and who's younger, who wants to pursue a career, not necessarily exactly like yours, but one that doesn't have, say, a guidebook to it.
Well, I had none. I mean, my career is like a happen of chance, and I'm lucky. I've met the right people, and like I'm one of those people that like people like to be around. I don't know, and like are like I'm good with in the entertainment industry. I'm good with those kinds of people. I would say if you're young and you're not used to living with a ton of people, you better get used to it, because if you come to New York, unless you have a ton of money, like you're gonna have to figure it out.
Because it's a different place now.
If you're rich, good for you. You'll be fine. But you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I've never been like I have a lot of friends that have a lot of money, and like I've never like. I think if you're rich, and it's fine. And most of the people I know that are rich are really, really hard workers. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I think you need to work for free a lot, which sucks. And like, I just know so many people that are like, yeah, I got to get paid. And I'm like, well, then you're not going to do the good stuff, because I'll tell you this right now. And that sucks. And you have to get like 20 jobs. But every single thing in my book portfolio and everything that anybody knows that I've done, I basically didn't make any money from. And anything that like paid my rent and bought my clothes and trips or whatever was shit that you'll never know I did. Do you know what I mean?
Sure,
like some rotten commercial for a, pharmaceutical. I don't know. But you know what I mean? Like, it's true. And like, I mean, so many people think that, their art's being taken away from them unless they get money for it. And I'm like, you can't quantify it. And to be honest, like, whenever I see like a really bad Hedwig or like a 50 Hedwigs at Halloween, it makes me so happy. Yeah. I'm like, it's an homage. It's not like, I don't feel like I'm being ripped off or like my art's being taken away from me. I have a million other ideas, but you just have to like, you have to embrace like these characters and these people, and you've got to like help them get to where they're going as a group, but you've got to find that person. And I got to be honest, like, I could easily have not done Hedwig and like would have had a completely different career and life. And probably a more stable life. Do you know what I mean? Like a more normal, like working in a makeup at a company or like, in a store. I mean, like, I don't know. But I mean, the entertainment industry is hard, man. It's like a tough scene. And I work also in fashion, and that's, the teenage models that are just tortured and like just the shit I've seen. It's like not easy. You just have to like, you have to be tough and you have to be talented or you'll be like excused. Do you know what I mean?
I do. And also you have to have the tenacity of following whatever it is
you have to I'm always like, I've never been late for work ever in my whole life, except for maybe if the subway broke down, or like maybe like 3 times in my life I've been late.
Unforeseen circumstances. Well, you were 10 minutes early today.
I know. And your previous guest was an hour late. He's like a real rock star, so I get it. It's fine.
He did bring lunch over though, which was nice.
He did? What did he bring?
Chicken salad sandwich for me, and but I offered to cover it because I was apprecious of.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and
Casey's so nice.
Casey's lovely. Yeah,
he's one of those ones. He's had a lot of had many versions of himself, and they're all enjoyable and all like good. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I think I saw him like a couple years ago, like right in my neighborhood, walking down the street, and I was like, "Hi, Casey," and he was like all 70s porn with like long hair and a stash, like fully like full on, and I was like, nice. It was like, it was like Maplethorpe's like dream or something, and now he's like rocking his his
presidential campaign,
workout wear.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, those see-through shorts.
Yeah, that's right.
That's so funny. That's good stuff.
Well, any closing thoughts? Anything you'd like to add before we go?
I don't know. I'm really bad at closing thoughts, but it's so funny. Whenever I do interviews, like I always get the last line. Like if you watch the documentary on the Criterion, last line's me. If you watch the documentary on the original Hedwig documentary,
that's the one I've seen.
Last one, I'm like Hedwig's animatronic penis. Last line. John's interview with New York Times for Broadway. Last sentence, me. Neil Pat. Every time, last line. I don't have a last line for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think keep it up, and I don't know. Yeah, this is the most lackluster last line ever.
Keep it up. You're doing fine.
Keep it up. You're doing great out there. Don't get triggered so easily. Love the people around you. Get off your phone so much, and make contact with real people physically, like in person. You know what I mean? I feel like people don't do that anymore, and it's kind of depressing.
I think being open to actually talking to people in environments where you don't know people is a really great thing that sometimes we forget how to do.
Yeah, I mean, like I stopped hanging out with people that like literally like ignore me for their phone, and I'm like, I have no time for that. Like I got a million other people I can hang out with that'll actually look at me and like speak to me in person. But I get it. That's what the kids do today. They like live on their phones, and I'm guilty of it as well. I mean, I'll have times where I'll look and I'll be on like Instagram for 4 hours, and I'm like, what am I doing with my life? But I try really hard to like not do that as much. I try to be out out in the streets. I'm a street kid in New York. I love being out in the streets. I ride my bike everywhere, and I love New York City. I can't imagine living here. But I will tell you, like on major events, I won't leave my house. Like Gay Pride, did not leave my house. 4th of July will not leave my house. New Year's Eve will not leave my house. Like I'm like, stay in your house on those days. Yeah. But it's a little daunting, when you do that. But I love being in the streets of New York and being out amongst the people. It's such a great town to live in and to get to make your dreams come true. You know what I mean?
Sure. Some people say that New York is prohibitive now because of the cost to being a young artist.
So expensive. New York's not for everyone. It's a very tough town to live in, price wise. Like I said, like I'm only able to live here because I've been in the same apartment for 20 years.
Right.
But I mean, it's I admire anyone that comes. I just see so many people come and then leave running and go to LA or wherever where it's a little easier to live. I love LA, but I don't love driving. I don't love the traffic. And I've always had like this charmed existence, like living in a house with a pool or in a fancy hotel. Like, I don't know what it's like to really have to like live and make it in LA.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like I always stay in like a mansion or like somewhere like that's, like I can, like Hollywood or whatever. But,
so it's best to visit for you.
Yeah. Like I wouldn't want to like live in like a 1-bedroom and like have to like drive my like, crappy car to like, wherever I had to go to work. I can't. Like I'm a New Yorker.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love LA. Don't get me wrong. I love. And I have so many amazing friends in California.
Mm-hmm.
Like half my friends live in LA.
Yeah.
So
funny thing though, when people say like, oh, it chews you up and spits you out, I always think there's a sort of an absence of constitution in the person.
Oh, yeah.
They say the same thing about New York, and it's like, well, what are you there for? Do you think in a year you're going to make $100,000 and all this? Like,
oh,
it
yeah,
takes
the kids
time.
today want like it immediately. I've had so many assistants over the years that like don't get why they're not like me in like 6 months, and I'm like, I don't even tell you how old I am, but like, although Rolling Stone once called me a middle-aged, in an article with Neil Patrick Harris because the guy kept asking me my age and I wouldn't tell him.
Yeah.
And so when the article came out, it was like Mike Potter, a middle-aged blonde, whatever. And I was like, and Neil was like rolling around laughing so hard. He thought that was the funniest thing he'd ever read. And I was like, that is so annoying. He's like, you should have told him how old you were. I'm like, I'm not telling him because I don't want anyone to know forever how old I am. But yeah, I mean, the kids today, but like, it's funny because I do come across ones every once in a while that have worked for me. I had an intern last summer who was like this 16-year-old girl, and she was like really good and she was smart and she fixed my phone and my computer and like did a bunch of shit that I couldn't do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I mean, everyone's got their thing, but I think that definitely like there's like instant fame, and so many people that do nothing and have like 50,000 times more Instagram followers than me. I don't have any Instagram followers, but like I also like I don't really like care about that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Like I don't do the right thing to like get likes and stuff. I don't do things for likes. Although I get really upset when I don't get likes or like.
I think everyone does.
It's so stupid though. I hate that I feel that way.
I know, but it's
it makes me really upset about myself. But at least I'm still keeping up with the times. I mean, God, I remember we didn't even have cell phones. I remember when the internet was invented. I was in college when the internet was invented, and I was like, what is that? What is email? Like, I didn't know what an email was.
Yeah.
Keep up with the times. That's what I want to say.
Sure. And where can people find you on Instagram?
POTT28 at Instagram. That's it.
Are you on Twitter?
No. Mm-hmm. I mean, people tweet me all the time, and like, I've been trended on Twitter, but like I never like saw it. My friends were like, "You're on Twitter today," and I'm like, "I am." Like I don't like I no. I think the last tweet I did was, oh God, so many years ago, 5 years ago, and I was at the Oscars with Karen O and Spike Jonze, and I think I was like, "I'm at the Oscars," I'm like stupid, and that was my last tweet. I'd have to look online. I guess you could probably look it up and find out. What
we'll check it out later on.
I'm sure it's embarrassing and braggadocious,
but that's what Twitter's for.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think people are that interested in what I'm doing to be on Twitter. Like I like images and like posting just images of my work.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I'm not like. You won't see a gym selfie, an obligatory gym selfie. I was just watching Katya and and Trixie Mattel, and they were talking about like she's like, you know what I hate worse than a gym selfie is when they call it an obligatory gym selfie. It's like you're just trash.
Now, do you watch Drag Race?
I don't, but I love Willem.
Yeah, Willem's great.
Yeah, Willem came back to see me the other night at
Town Hall.
Town Hall. Yeah. I don't watch Drag Race. I have my favorites from Drag Race.
Sure, who are they?
I love Trixie Mattel. I love Willem. I love
Katya, of course.
Yeah, Katya, absolutely. She's best hair ever.
Done by Fina Barbital most of the time. Yeah.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She always has like the best like bubble bangs on her wigs.
Fina Barbital does wigs and wigs by Vanity. Of course, Vanity does a lot.
Oh, yeah. See, it's so funny. Like I feel really bad that I don't watch Drag Race and like.
Well,
I mean, I don't like. I mean, you
got the Casketeers to watch.
I love drag, and I definitely feel like drag is like so next level now, though. I mean, like you better be on your game if you want to be a drag queen. You better be like a super business person, an amazing makeup artist, have great style, talented. You got to be like a real. And luckily, finally, they're getting rich and making money and have like a ton of followers because for years, all the queens I knew made $50. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
$100. Thank God. God bless them all. I'm not mad at any of that. I'm so happy. That makes me very, very happy.
Well, Mike, thank you so much.
Thank you
for joining me.
It was fun. I had a good time.
Good, me too. I had a terrific time. Yeah, and we'll hopefully do it again sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you come out to LA, and we'll do one with Devin Green.
Oh my God, I would die. I love Devin Green. She's so good.
For more, head on over to patreon.com/Craig and Friends, join Hot Dog Club, and don't just slide on into the Thunderbuds of Hot Dog Club, but also unlock an ocean of exclusive content.